Welcome back to Daily English Dive. Today we're opening the door on a topic that I think causes more sweaty palms and racing hearts than almost anything else in the professional world. And we aren't talking about public speaking in front of 1,000 people. We're talking about something much more everyday.
That's right. We're diving into the high-stakes ecosystem of business English, specifically the art of writing emails without sounding like a robot, and all those survival skills you need for those, frankly, exhausting online meetings.
Yeah, and we're basing this deep dive on a really comprehensive set of advice from business communication experts Sophie and Jack. But we're going to take their concepts and really pull them apart to understand the why behind them. Because let's be honest, for you as English learners, the language barrier is only half the battle.
Yeah.
The culture barrier is the other half.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can have perfect textbook grammar and still completely offend a client if you just don't understand the tone. And nowhere is that more obvious than in what they call the blank screen problem.
Oh, I know this one so well. You open a new email. The screen is white. The cursor's just blinking at you. You type, "Dear Sir," look at it, think that's way too formal, so you delete it. And you type, "Hi," think that's too casual, delete it. And 10 minutes later, you're still staring at a totally blank page.
Right. It's a very real form of paralysis. Psychologically, it's just performance anxiety. And the source material we're looking at today suggests that the cure for this anxiety isn't a better dictionary. It's a structure. They call it the email sandwich.
Okay, I have to stop you right there. The email sandwich. It sounds a bit, I don't know, juvenile, doesn't it? Like something you'd learn in primary school.
I thought the exact same thing initially. It sounds really simplistic, but if you look at why it works, it's actually deeply based on reducing cognitive load.
A cognitive load.
Yeah. So when someone opens an email, their brain has to process what is happening immediately. If you just throw a wall of text at them, their brain has to work incredibly hard to organize it. The sandwich structure, top bread, meat, bottom bread, gives the reader a predictable pattern. It reduces the cognitive load so they understand you much faster.
So it's not just about being polite. It's literally about efficiency.
Exactly. It's respecting the reader's brain energy.
All right, well, I'm sold on the psychology. Let's build the sandwich. We start with the top bread, the greeting.
This is where the primacy effect kicks in. In psychology, the primacy effect means that the very first piece of information you receive sets the tone for literally everything that follows. In an email, people judge your professionalism within about 0.5 seconds based on those first two words.
That is terrifyingly fast.
Okay.
So what are the ways to fail this test? Like, what is the ultimate red flag greeting?
The biggest one mentioned in the sources, and I see this constantly, is "to whom it may concern."
But wait, that's in every textbook? I learned that in school.
I know it is in the textbooks, but in modern business, especially in the US or the UK or Australia, it signals one of two things: laziness or robotics. It basically tells the reader, I didn't bother to find out who you are, so I'm using a generic template.
So it creates this massive distance right away.
Yeah.
But what if you genuinely don't know the name? Like, what if you're emailing a general inbox for a huge company?
Then you aim for the role or the team. You write, "Dear hiring manager," or "Dear customer service team," or even "Dear finance department." It's specific. It shows you've actually thought about who is reading it.
That's a really good pivot. Now let's talk about when we do know the name. This is where I think a lot of learners get totally tripped up on hierarchy. In a lot of cultures, you absolutely have to use titles. But in English-speaking business cultures,
The hierarchy is increasingly flat. The goal in modern business English is to sound like a trusted colleague, not a subordinate. If you use "Dear Mrs. Jenkins," you might think you're being respectful, but you can actually create a really awkward barrier. It just sounds old-fashioned.
so we just go with the first name, like Dear Sarah.
Yes. "Dear Sarah," or "Hello, Sarah," is the absolute gold standard. It strikes that perfect balance between professional and approachable. There is one major exception, though.
Let me guess. Academia and medicine.
Spot on. If they are a doctor or a professor, you definitely keep the title. "Dear Dr. Jenkins." Those titles are hard-earned, and people really like to see them used. But for a CEO of a tech company, first name is usually totally fine.
Okay, quick punctuation check before we move on because this drives me crazy. Comma or colon?
"Dear Sarah" with a comma is the safest bet globally. If you are writing a very formal letter in the US, you might use a colon, like "Dear Sarah, colon," but honestly, the comma is never wrong. Just please, whatever you do, do not use a period. "Hello, Sarah," period looks like you are angry.
It looks like a statement of fact.
Hello?
You are Sarah.
Right, it's completely robotic. Avoid it.
Okay, so we've handled the top bread, we've established safety. Now we need to get to the meat, the actual message. The sources were a bit light on this, but I think we need to dig deeper here for our listeners, because having a nice greeting really doesn't matter if the rest of the email is a rambling mess.
I completely agree. The meat is where the actual work happens. And the biggest mistake English learners make here is burying the lead.
Burying the lead. What does that mean in this context?
It's originally a journalism term. It means putting the most important information at the bottom of the story. In business emails, you want the ask or the action to be right there in the first 2 sentences.
So do not write 3 long paragraphs about the weather and the background of the project before you finally ask for the budget approval.
Precisely. We live in the era of mobile phones. There is an unofficial one-scroll rule. If I have to scroll down twice on my phone to find out what you actually want from me, I'm probably going to close the email and deal with it later. And later almost always means never.
That is brutal, but so true.
Yep.
So keep it short. Use bullet points if you have data. And what about the attachments? This is a specific anxiety point for a lot of people.
Yes, the language of attachments. You really want to avoid the imperative form here. Don't just say, look at the file. It sounds like you're barking an order at a dog.
Sit, stay, look at file.
Yeah, not a good look for a manager. The classic phrase is, please find attached. But honestly, that's getting a bit old-fashioned and stiff. A cleaner, more modern version is just, I have attached the report for your review.
I have attached. Simple. Active voice. Now this brings us to what I call the send button panic.
The absolute nightmare scenario.
You click send, and literally 2 seconds later, you realize you didn't attach the file, or you spelled the big client's name wrong. The sources offered a safety lock hack for this that I found genuinely brilliant and practical.
It's the kind of tip that seems completely obvious once you hear it, but nobody actually does it. The advice is simple. Leave the tough field empty.
Just blank.
Completely blank. You write your subject line, you write your greeting, you write the meat, you attach the file, you read it all over again. And only when you are 100% sure the email is perfect do you finally type in the recipient's address. You physically cannot accidentally send it early.
That is a safeguard that literally saves your professional reputation. Because sending that follow-up email that says, oops, forgot the file, it just chips away at your authority a little bit every time you do it.
It really does. It signals that you're rushing or that you're just not detail-oriented. If you do have to send that correction, never use the word oops. Oops is for when you spill coffee on your shirt. In business, you say, my apologies, here is the correct attachment. You own the mistake professionally.
Okay, let's wrap up the email. The bottom bread. This involves the sign-off and the CC field. Let's actually talk about CC versus BCC, because I think people misuse these aggressively all the time.
They absolutely do. CC stands for carbon copy, which is basically just for your information. But there is a political weapon here called escalation. Oh, I hate this so much. This is when you're having a minor disagreement with a colleague, and suddenly, on the next reply, they CC your boss.
Exactly. It's highly aggressive. It's effectively calling the police on a workplace conversation. You should use CC to keep relevant people informed, but never use it to tattle or exert power unless it is absolutely necessary.
And what about BCC? Blind carbon copy.
That is purely for privacy. If you are emailing a large list, say 50 clients, you must use BCC. If you put 50 clients in the CC field, you are publicly sharing everyone's private email address with everyone else. It is a data breach just waiting to happen.
Good point. Now, there was a fascinating concept in the sources called the bystander effect regarding group emails. This perfectly explains why when I email my whole team asking a simple question, nobody ever answers me.
It's basic social psychology. If you see someone collapse in a busy street, often nobody helps because everyone around thinks, oh, someone else will do it. The exact same thing happens in a group email. If you write, can someone check this report? Every single person reading it thinks, oh, Dave will do it or Sarah will do it. And then, of course, nobody does it.
Correct. The fix is to be hyper-specific. Call someone out politely. Dave, can you please check this report? When you name a specific person, you assign responsibility. You completely break the bystander effect.
Great advice. Let's finally sign off. We're at the very bottom of the email. What is the best regards of today?
Best regards is actually still the king. It's safe, it's professional, and it works for CEOs and interns alike. If you know the person pretty well, just best is perfectly fine.
What about cheers? I see that a lot from my British and Australian friends.
Cheers is great, but it is very casual. It implies a pre-existing friendly relationship. You do not sign cheers to a client who is actively angry with you or to a rigorous government official. It can seem incredibly flippant.
Makes sense. Now, there is one phrase we need to kill immediately. The experts called it a passive-aggressive trap. And I have to confess, I am guilty of using this one all the time. Thanks in advance.
The presumptive compliance trap.
That sounds like a legal term. It sounds serious.
It's subtle, but it's powerful. When you say thanks in advance, you are thanking the person for doing something they haven't actually agreed to do yet. You are completely removing their choice to say no.
I always thought I was just being efficient. Like I'm saving time on a follow-up thank you email later.
It definitely feels efficient to the writer, but to the reader, it can feel very demanding and presumptuous. A much better alternative is, I would really appreciate your help with this. It acknowledges that they are doing you a favor rather than demanding that they do it.
I would really appreciate your help. It's softer, but definitely more respectful.
Huh?
Okay, we have crafted the perfect email sandwich. We've hit send after filling in the to-field last, of course. Now we have to switch gears. Because modern business isn't just text anymore, it's video.
Yes, the dreaded online meeting.
The sources shift here from the rules of writing to the psychology of survival. Because, let's be honest, an hour on Zoom or Teams feels completely different from an hour sitting in a physical conference room. Why exactly is that?
It's a psychological phenomenon known as cognitive overload, leading to what we casually call Zoom fatigue.
Is that just because we're tired of looking at glowing screens all day?
It's much deeper than that. In a normal face-to-face meeting, your brain is constantly processing thousands of tiny micro cues without you even trying. You see someone tap their foot under the table. You see a slight intake of breath before they speak. You see subtle eye contact. On a video call, almost all of that is stripped away or heavily delayed.
So our brains are basically working overtime to fill in the blanks.
Exactly. You are literally burning more glucose just to understand the exact same conversation. Plus, there is the added stress of mirroring anxiety.
Oh, you mean having to look at your own face the entire time?
Yes. Humans did not evolve to watch themselves speak in real time. It makes us highly self-critical. You start thinking, is my hair messy? Do I look tired? Is that a double chin? It completely splits your attention away from the actual meeting.
The sources gave a really technical solution for this that I love. Just turn it off.
Right. Hide self-view. Almost every major platform allows this now. The other people in the meeting can still see you, so you can't just fall asleep, but you can't see yourself. It instantly lowers your cognitive load. You can focus on the content instead of your appearance.
That feels like a mental health tip, just as much as a business tip. But we also need to build a survival phrase book for the technical side of things. Because bad internet is inevitable and it causes a lot of stress.
And this is exactly where panic sets in for English learners. When the tech fails, they often freeze up because they don't know if they misunderstood the English or if the connection just broke.
So let's arm you, the listener, with the exact vocabulary to handle it. Scenario 1. Background noise. Someone has a dog barking wildly or a blender running in the kitchen.
The temptation is to handle this like a dictator and say, turn off your microphone. But that's very rude. You want to depersonalize the problem entirely.
How do we do that naturally?
You refer to the noise itself, not the person making it. You say, we have some background noise on the line. Could everyone please mute?
Could everyone please mute? That perfectly spreads the blame around. It's very diplomatic.
Exactly. You aren't accusing Dave of having a loud dog. You are just solving a collective technical issue.
Scenario 2. The robot voice. The person is speaking, but it sounds like static and clicking.
The essential phrasal verb here is breaking up. You simply say, I'm sorry you're breaking up a little bit. Or you could say, the audio is chopping.
And what if their video just stops moving entirely?
You say, your screen is frozen.
Simple and clear. Now, there's a fascinating psychological aspect to bad connections, too, specifically regarding latency, that annoying 1 to 2 second delay.
This causes so much unnecessary anxiety in meetings. You make a big proposal. You say, I think we should launch the product in May. And then there's just dead silence.
And in that silence, your brain immediately goes, oh, no, they hate it. I'm definitely getting fired.
But usually they're just waiting for the digital signal to travel across the world to their computer. And then they are fumbling with their mouse to find the unmute button.
So what is the strategy to handle that panic?
The count to 4 rule. When you finish speaking mentally, count to 4 slowly before you interpret the silence as a negative reaction. Just give the physics of the internet time to catch up.
That is really calming advice. Just wait it out.
The flip side of latency, though, is interrupting. Because of that delay, jumping into a fast-paced conversation is really hard. If you just start talking, you often accidentally cut someone off and sound incredibly rude.
You need what the experts call an interruption cushion.
Right. It's a short phrase that softens the blow of the interruption. You don't just state your bold opinion out of nowhere. You say, sorry to cut in, but, or agree. If I could just jump in here for a second.
It effectively signals to the group, I know I'm interrupting and I'm trying to be polite about it.
Exactly. It buys you that critical split second for the audio to adjust and sync up so you don't come across as aggressive.
There's one last technical danger zone we have to cover. Screen sharing.
Oh, the potential for absolute embarrassment here is so high.
We've all seen it happen. Someone shares their screen, and the entire team sees their private WhatsApp messages or their personal vacation photos or a Google search for how to find a new job.
The golden rule is clear. Clean your desktop before the meeting even starts. Close the extra tabs. Quit your messaging apps. Treat your digital desktop exactly like a physical conference table. You wouldn't put your dirty laundry on the conference table.
And you should always ask the confirmation question when you share.
Yes, always ask, can everyone see my screen? Because sometimes the server takes 10 seconds to load the image. You really don't want to be giving a brilliant explanation of a graph that literally nobody can see yet.
Okay, we've survived the gauntlet of the meeting. We've hidden our self-view. We've politely asked people to mute. We've navigated the terrible latency. How do we actually escape the call?
Ending an online meeting can be super awkward. You don't want to just abruptly hang up the phone. There's a great idiom in the sources for this exact moment. Let's call it a day.
Let's call it a day.
It clearly signals that the work portion is officially done. You say, we've covered everything on the agenda, so let's call it a day. It's highly professional and conclusive.
And then comes my favorite part, the awkward wave.
It is so universal. You say goodbye nicely, and then you frantically have to find the leave meeting button with your mouse, but it's never where you think it is. So you just end up smiling and waving at your webcam like a crazy person for 3 awkward seconds.
You know, I think we just need to fully embrace the wave. It's honestly the only genuinely human moment left in digital business.
I completely agree. It shows we're all just regular people trying our best to figure out this technology together.
So as we wrap up, let's quickly recap our business English survival kit for you listening at home.
Sure thing. First, the email sandwich. It's not just polite, it actively reduces the reader's cognitive load. Second, the one scroll rule. Keep your meat short and put the actual ask right at the top. Third, the safety lock. Always leave the tow field completely empty until you are absolutely ready to hit send.
Fourth, hide self-view. Save your limited brain energy during those long video meetings. And fifth, the count to 4 rule. Don't panic during the digital silence. It's usually just latency.
And just remember, whether it's an email or a Zoom call, your ultimate goal isn't to be a perfect English poet. It's clarity. Clarity and kindness. If you focus on those 2 things, you will be absolutely fine.
I'd love for you to try just one of these tips today. Maybe clean up your desktop before your next call, or try that safety lock trick on your next important email. It really changes how you feel.
It's those little daily habits that slowly build your professional confidence in a second language.
But before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We've talked all about crafting the perfect authentic email structure to sound human. But with AI tools now writing half of our corporate emails for us, are we eventually going to need a new kind of business English just to prove we aren't robots? Will the email sandwich survive the AI revolution, or will we just go back to being perfectly polite machines? Something to think about next time you stare at a blinking cursor.
That is a fascinating question for another day.
Thank you so much for helping us unpack the psychology behind business English today. It is really good to know we aren't the only ones stressed out by the blank screen.
We're definitely all in it together.
Keep diving.